What's your name?
This is not started, is it?
This one it looks like it started.
Huh?
It started.
It started?
Yeah.
So maybe.
Okay, you want me to tell you with it? The number? 2805 16. Yeah.
Same, but this is like when it's the only option. You can't do anything. So like I see that as like more. Yeah, for What? Oh,
No, I'm wondering.
but the articles aren't. Yeah, right, yeah. That's the only thing. Have you done it? I was gonna do it either like before this, or right after, yeah. Knock it out. Is it like hard, like this? I'll do it. It's like I can't like wake up early and do it because I already have to meeting before it's like right now. So it's like I already have to have everything ready for tomorrow. Right. We're a lot of classes. You know, for the class. That was their comment. Yeah, we're in that class. Oh, really?
He says he needs another phone number to text us.
Okay. John, can you put your phone You still have him on the line?
Oh, I took that last year.
You can go outside. You have your phone? Yeah. Okay, folks, everybody here? I can start. Oh, do me a favor. Let's make a roll. And on the top of the roll, put BTE 450 and the date of August 22nd. And then make columns of, put yourself as number 1 and make, well, first make columns and then just make first, last, email, phone, and then let's be able to do this. Put major. And make yourself number 1. What is your name?
Dia.
Dia?
Yes.
Okay, great. And then you'll pass that on to everyone. Okay? Thank you. Okay. All right, welcome. I'm Dr. Sarah Rushanek, and I'm teaching this class. It's BTE 450, Health Information Systems. Yes, we're in the right class. I'm in the right class as well. I have a class right before this. So, is there anyone that doesn't have a class before this that's free? Raise your hand if you're free right before this class. I teach a class right before this, and sometimes on Monday and Wednesday it's an information systems class, and sometimes I have guest speakers. Sometimes those guest speakers may start at my other class and continue to this class. So sometimes if you can come early, that's fine. Sometimes I'll have guest speakers who will talk about information systems or technology, and they'll talk generically, but then we'll have them speak to us about healthcare applications. Okay? So what I want to do today, we meet once a week. Advantages and disadvantages to that. One is you get it over with. You only get to see me one time. The disadvantage is it's a whole week. It's also hard. We start at this time, and it's supposedly till 9:05. Is that it? It's a long time to sit. So what I usually like to do is to break it up. A lot of times I'll go, instead of taking, sometimes I may not take a break, because it's almost like me when I start running, and if I run and I stop, it's hard for me to continue. So we may end a bit early by not taking a break. Other times what we'll do is we'll have lectures and then we'll work on projects together. And I'm gonna be on everybody's team, so it breaks it up that we start working on projects rather than just to sit through lectures per se. It's just too much for me. What's up, Evan?
I don't know, you got our phone number or something, and,
No, are we finished or you're still speaking with him?
oh, he's not online anymore.
Okay, can I get the, yeah, good.
Right.
Any other thing? Okay, so I'll see you on Monday. And then we'll talk about what that project is about.
Awesome.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
And what is your major, Evan?
Econ, something.
Something like that, who knows? Okay, thank you very much, anyway. Who knows? Okay, so that's how the arrangement will be for this semester. The advantage for this class, this first class, is you can decide whether you want to be in this class. I'm going to be in this class, you know, but you have more of a choice that if you don't. So we'll be looking at healthcare and health information systems basically from technology perspective. We'll be looking at some health analytic data perspective. And one of the things of South Florida, the advantage is technology is starting to boom in the healthcare industry. There's a lot of startups in healthcare. There's a lot of even startup healthcare companies that I work with, and I'll invite some of those people to class as well to share with us some technology. The disadvantage to healthcare technology is it's always been, that industry has always been the laggard in terms of information systems in healthcare. They do a lot in terms of, if you think about any job in healthcare, is going to be disruptive, just like any sector is going to be disruptive. Think about Uber, think about any industry now, think about finances changing, marketing. Healthcare is going to be changing big time. So we'll be looking at that as well. So I'm a professor of business technology here at the University of Miami. I have my undergraduate degree at Tel Aviv University, and my graduate work and PhD was done at the University of Texas at Austin. I'm also a professor in the business school in business technology, and I'm also a professor in the School of Medicine in what they call translational research. It's a master's degree program where a number of people get a master's in trying to take health science and bring it into the marketplace. So they get a master's degree, and instead of doing a thesis for that, they do many times a grant proposal. And we look at new technologies in healthcare. Okay? I'm going to go through basics here. In terms of disruption and so forth, I'm doing an experiment now to look at ways to disrupt education. So look how we're sitting here, right? Probably sitting the ways that you did in first grade, right? In rows and tables, right? So I think this whole area, and especially in healthcare, education needs to be disrupted as well. So we'll look at ways, and many times I'm on the bleeding edge, and I join you to be on the bleeding edge with me. Many times things won't work, and that's the idea. Things don't work, we'll just proceed on. So I'm trying to look at different ways of bringing the outside world to, basically we know we have an online world and we know we have a bricks and mortar world. And what I'm trying to do is I say, why not combine the two? Think about Amazon. What were Amazon? We all know Amazon, right? We've all purchased from Amazon, all been to their site. What have they done lately? What have they bought? What have they bought? Whole Foods is one. What else have they bought? Pill Pack. Ring. What else? So they go. So Whole Foods is one. Here they're an online store. All of a sudden they're buying Whole Foods, right? Now all of a sudden they're getting into healthcare. right? Had PillPack, and they pay a pretty penny, so it's basically starting to get into healthcare. Think about them disrupting the pharmaceutical industry, right? So you can think about that. So I'm trying to do these things looking at education, and I'm trying these out. So what I'm going to be doing this semester is I'm going to be broadcasting my classes live and archived. So I have these right here that are broadcasting, and I'm also going to be broadcasting my screen. So let me do that now. So you see, I'm using Google Hangouts on Air. It's a YouTube product, and you see here where it says Start Broadcast, and I'm using Hangouts on Air on YouTube. Your Hangouts on Air will now be broadcast on YouTube. And it says I'm starting. You see here with Stop Broadcast. And I can do and then I can do, usually what I do is I share my screen. So anything that I'm doing on my screen, I will be broadcasting out live. Also, let me just see here if I can find it. Also, there's a website called Steemit, Steemit. I have a channel there called Steemit at the Psycho, and I'm also have a link there, and here it says 6:30. Let's see if this works. Let's see what would happen. So basically you can see Steemit at the Psycho, you can see that I'm broadcasting. So basically you can see that I'm broadcasting. It's a little bit delayed. You can see that I'm broadcasting as well. You'll find the link. So anytime that you're not able to make it to class, or you have to go somewhere, or you're out of town, you can go to steemit.com/@thepsycho, that's me, and just look for the latest or time period, and you can do this. Also, I'll give a long link as well. The short link is that you can view it, and then there's a long link where you can participate. So we can have guest speakers that'll be able to participate all over the world. Everybody understand that? So I see it not for education, and especially I see it for healthcare applications. Anybody see that? That you can basically do ways to collaborate, ways to look at patients, ways to number of users working, patients working together. So I see it in a number of different ways, and that's what I want you to think about as well. So what we'll be doing in this class is you'll be using these tools as well. Also, using this where I'm doing my screen is I'm also screencasting locally my screens, and they're screencasting programs, and this is one called MSN Recorder, but there's many out there where I can do a full screen. I can save it to my local machine, and then I can record this as well, my screen here, and then I can make small blocks, and then I can upload those clips to YouTube. And what my idea was, when I have small blocks, then to attach questions to those small blocks of lectures. So when somebody wants to review, they don't want to review 40 hours of lecture. What I see them wanting to do is basically take quizzes, and those questions they get wrong, then we'll just give those short, almost sound bites or areas in which they get it incorrectly. So that's what I do. And then basically we have this. Okay? So let's go to Blackboard. Everybody has Blackboard. And one of the things that I suggest you do in this class, since we're going to be doing a lot of technology, is I want everybody to use their laptops. If you don't have laptops today, sit close to someone that does, because we'll be doing some exercises here where we'll need laptops. So let's everybody go to Blackboard. If everybody's there, right? Courses.miami.edu. Yes, no? And I'll have, we have BTE 450 KY. Everybody have that? Who doesn't have that? It says BTE 450 KY. And if I enter that, you should see on the left-hand pane, right, you should see the course syllabus. So I'm just going to go to the syllabus. And you'll see then the syllabus of it says BTE 450-685 for fall 18. So I'm going to open it and we'll see what we get. Okay, so what we have here is we have my name, Dr. Sarah Rushanek, office hours. Basically, the way that we'll work it out is office hours will be after the class. Easy. And also I have office hours on Monday. You can put a note there. On Monday, I'll have it at basically at 6:15 in here too. I have a class in here from 5 to 6:15, so I'll stay here. So if you need to see me, you can find me here. So it's easy, find me, and then we can talk. Also, when we do projects, it's easy too, that we can talk about it, that we can do that. All right? The textbook is Healthcare Information Systems. It's a edition. You should get the 4th edition, and you can find it. I don't care how you find it. I usually suggest find it the least expensive way that you can. Right? Rent it. You know, you probably won't be able to get it used. It's a new edition, but find the best way to get it. And basically, in terms of the course, we'll be talking about the use of technology in healthcare organizations. We'll be talking about mobile apps. We'll be talking about information management. We'll be talking about healthcare. We'll be talking about security. And this area is growing. If you have, basically now, I think any profession you go to, you can't say, I don't need technology. You know that's not a fad, right? Like anything else. You're going to be able to do whatever type of work you're going to be doing. And the more that you're involved in it, the better. Who's pre-med here? Okay. In the past, my pre-med students, what they did, we'll do projects in here dealing with healthcare, informatics, healthcare, IT, and a number of students, it was interesting, they used that for their interview to med school, because they said, hey, I can stand out, because everybody has to have good grades, right? What's the big deal? You don't have good grades, you can't get, they won't even look at you. But it was interesting, a lot of them used their projects. Some were doing it on electronic health records, others were doing it on using, evaluating different apparatuses. Some did it on apps. They did some mobile apps, so they used it. So we'll be doing that. You'll see here, you can read on your own the approaches. My approach will be there'll be assigned readings. There'll be readings from the book. Most of the time, the book the difference is here, there are gonna be a lot of acronyms. There's a huge amount of acronyms in IT and information technology. There's even more in healthcare. So what I suggest you do is for our exams, you can have 2 pages back and front with all the acronyms and what they stand for. So I won't ask you, there's so many, we'll even go over them tonight. You don't have to memorize. OCN stands for Office of whatever, or even HIPAA. Anybody hear about HIPAA? Right? You can be able to do that. So in this case, you can have a sheet back and forth with the acronyms to do that. What I care about is in the readings, and I give you in the text, is that you understand the concepts there, and I'll emphasize what I think is important. You can do the readings, and then you can ask me, what are the issues there? So I'm looking at it as more that we'll be working on it together, and then what we'll be doing, so it's not only those readings, they'll be assigning a lot of outside readings to you, things that are happening now, and you can see how quickly this healthcare environment is going. We'll also, what we'll be doing, if you look at this, is if we go to Google, you can do that, open up another tab and go to Google and just talk about healthcare sector. And then if I look at healthcare sector, stock, right? And I look about how my healthcare, the hot healthcare sector stocks are doing. Year to date, you can see here, biotech, you can see the healthcare is divided up by pharmaceuticals, managed healthcare, pharmaceuticals generic, one diversified medical equipment, advanced medical equipment, biotech, and healthcare facilities. For instance, in biotech, it went up 60%. So we'll even be doing an analysis of the healthcare sector, looking at automated trading tools to see how that's going, what seems to be doing well in the healthcare stock trading systems. So you'll see that as well. So you'll see that. Now if I stop recording, you can see here, this is my what I call my screencasting program that I was just using before. And notice, what does it say on the top there? What does it say? Upload to YouTube. So basically, even this screencasting, I can do this. It tells me uploading it, my file extension, and I can upload it there. And then you can see if I play this back, then I can record, and then this goes step by step of what I've done here. And then I could use this for training purposes. I could use it. It's so good that I could use it as well. So I'm going to make another clip, record. And basically what I want this to be is automated, that I don't have to break this down into clips, but it can be automated in breaking this down and then putting quizzes attached to those videos that I have. What else? Class participation. I require class participation. It makes it, one, is it for me, it makes it more interesting. Two, I find out from you what you think, and also we can share with each other and see how we can do that. So class participation is in order. Class preparation is a requirement. And this is the evaluation here. Under, you'll have 2 tests, which are 60%, You'll have projects and presentations, 25%, and then you'll have assignments and participation. Okay? And this is the tentative schedule. And I say tentative, in that way we'll see what we're going to do. We're going to cover introduction for health informatics. We'll talk about the global perspective of the use of biomedical data, databases, decision analysis, decision making, data interoperability. What's interoperability? Anybody have a clue? Data interoperability issues. Who can tell me? So John, what do you think? What's data interoperability mean?
Yeah, say data that's like.
Who's ever been to a doctor's office? Got it. How about, and they, let's say they take your vitals, they take your information, right? Yes.
Data that's
There's one
connected.
linking electronic medical record information with Medicare or other
Could be. What is your name?
staff.
Deaf?
Yeah.
With an F or a V?
D.
V, Deaf, D-E-V?
Yep.
Like developer?
Yep.
Okay, Deaf, okay. All right, you can see my mind, right? So geeky, right, Deaf, oh, it's a developer. Okay, yes, but let's go back to my idea here, that I have, we've been to the doctor, right? I get my information, and then they say, you know what, you gotta go to, doctor's hospital. So I go to doctor's hospital. Is my data immediately going over to doctor's hospital? What is your name?
Yamile.
Yamile. What do you think?
I think it's how we share information.
Right, so basically in doctor's hospital, a lot of times you go to doctor's hospital, what do they want? And they want my insurance card, and then they're gonna get my same data over again, right? And then they say, oh, you know what, I think you need to go, and then the next time I don't like how I was treated there, and I wanna go, let's say I wanna go to another Baptist hospital. I wanna go to Jackson. I wanna go to the University of Miami, or I wanna go to Lanark. Is my data basically being shared across levels easily? No. Think about a bank. Banking does that all the time, right? You basically can transfer money from one bank to another. I want to send you money, right? Right, easily to transfer that money, right? Anybody hear about cryptocurrencies? Bitcoin? The technology behind cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin is what? Anybody know what it's called? Blockchain. What is your name?
James.
James, okay, blockchain. What is becoming really disruptive now in blockchain is healthcare. And there are a lot of companies now that are thinking about doing blockchain in healthcare, right? And kids out of college have made millions just on what they call the ICO of what's an ICO. Have you ever heard of an ICO? James. Let's look it up. We all got Google, right? Let's look it up. What is ICO?
Initial coin offering.
Initial coin offering. What's your name?
Ty.
Todd, okay? Initial coin offering, right? There's something called Patientory, right? We can look that up. We can even do that. There's a group called, look it up. It's called Patient, like you're a patient, right? Patientory. Right, Patientory home. Your health at your fingertips, right? And let's just even go our team. Look at their team. All right, this is the founder, right? Chief of staff, DJ, Brian Ellis. These kids have just graduated, I think, from Cornell with their bachelor's degree and just kind of set up this company. Right, they got millions of dollars coming in from the ICO. And what's their idea? Is basically our executive, what do they say here? Under home, Your fingertip is an easy way to securely store and manage health information in real time. We're a leading provider of DApp blockchain. Look at that, they even throw that in. I'm sure they have to throw that in, you know why? Because I can get a lot of money here, right? More money, that it's kind of like a hot buzzword, right? That I got blockchain solutions for healthcare. So those are ideas, and basically on that data, what is it? If I do a blockchain, basically what does the blockchain mean? It's a distributed data that is secure, that goes along, basically think about it, chain, a link, think about it like a data solution, and I can hold on to my data, my healthcare data, and what I do is I take my healthcare data wherever I go. And then I give permission to whoever I want to see that. Rather than going ahead and telling Baptist, go ahead and share it with Jackson. Or my physician in California, go ahead and share it with Miami. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold on to it. So it has a lot of potential. It has some issues here. It's kind of like hot, but people are thinking in the healthcare, this is what needs to be disrupted here. So when you think about what needs to be disruptive, you can see here when you think about this data, it's all around data. And basically, if you heard about like Watson, anybody hear about that? IBM Watson, what have you heard? What's your name?
Sean.
Sean, what have you heard?
It's IBM's like attempt at like AI.
Yeah, artificial intelligence trying to make it autonomous, saying, hey, let me find the rules. And basically, that whole AI in medicine is really key, right? What's the computer really shines in is in doing fast operations, and then if I can find patterns and I can find rules, it can find patterns. So we think about in radiology, that's really quite big here, that if I can see, I can feed in, I can give it rules and say, this is a cancerous tumor, and if we see a tumor, this is cancerous and this is benign after the fact, and I give them a number of those, I can then basically train or teach the computer to recognize between a cancerous tumor or a benign one, or one that should be treated more rigorously than one that should be let alone. So you can think about a number of these different ways in which they've taken this Watson. So you'll be able to see this idea of data really is king. And of course, in all technology, we don't have a shortage of data, but especially in healthcare, we have a huge amount. And then we talk about, of course, a lot of you have been already exposed to it, is the idea of privacy and confidentiality. Let's look up GDPR. What is GDPR? What have we got? What is it? Yes, what is your name?
Ricky.
Ricky.
It's a public data protection system set up in the European Union.
Right. And what do you know about it? Have you heard about it before? Okay, so who cares? Has anybody ever received anything on an email about this? Anybody hear about Facebook? Anybody know Facebook? What's been the issue? Has there been any issue of data protection with Facebook? What's been the issue? Who can tell me? Who can articulate? Yes.
Weren't they like they were selling people's data?
They were selling people's data. What else?
Yeah, it was used for like political purposes.
Political purposes, right? That they were letting all those bots. What's a bot? Anybody hear about a bot?
It's like an automated user.
It's basically, it's an automated program that can go in and they can basically imitate a human being. They did it in the elections, right, in Facebook, that they came in, the Russians came in with possibly some others, basically purporting to be someone that they're not, and basically you can do it via a software program. Have you ever seen that CAPTCHA? When you ever go into a website, they ask you to copy this set of characters. Everybody seen that before? Why are they doing it? And they make it like it's even difficult for a human to figure out, is that a 7 or is that is that a character? Right? Why are they doing it? Is they want to see, are you a software bot or are you a human being? Because the software bots have a little bit more difficult time to read that. And what they found now is software bots can read that anyways. But you feel better that, it's secure. But software can read that anyway. So you can see here, GDPR is the European Union recently basically has said anyone now dealing with Europe has to then go by their guidelines that are strict, that you're going to be able to have, the EU now has on data protection and privacy for all individuals within the European Union. Because one of the things that people think about is my data so valuable, and places like Google and Facebook are taking my data, and I give them agreement, because how much does Facebook cost? Who has a Facebook account? Anyone ever looked at Facebook? How much are you paying for that? 0, right? And you think Facebook makes a profit? You think Zuckerberg is quite wealthy? He's quite wealthy, and that company is quite wealthy. Also another one that started from being a student, right? Started and then didn't finish his degree. But what happened here is that when that 0 is there, how are they making money? Advertisement. And what is it about those advertisements? It's not so much advertising, because you see advertisements everywhere, right? You go to CVS. CVS has advertising, but what's unique here? They're very, very, very specific target. I want to find that females that are Hispanic, that are 18 to 22 years old, that like this type of fashion, right? That also are basically don't speak, that are not fluent in Spanish. I can go down to such a grain, and how do they know that? Do you put your date of birth?
Yes.
You put your gender? Do they see who your friends are? What types of likes you have? Go into Amazon. When you buy something in Amazon, what do they usually do? They make recommendations, right? People that bought this also buy this. So that data analytics is so far down that all of a sudden now they became that data protection so much. Now what the healthcare had in data protection is what? What kind of law? This is based on European, which are much more strict in terms of what are you going to do with my data. Now all of a sudden the United States, woke up and said, oh, my data. Then not only that, do they know where I am? Do they know how many times I shop? What do I shop? What did it do? Whole Foods, we said Amazon bought Whole Foods, right? Are they getting any, what's the connection here? Anybody ever gone to Whole Foods and now they're doing Amazon Prime discounts? Mm-hmm. What do you have to do when you buy, anybody ever use that? What do they get from you when you do, how do they know you're an Amazon Prime member? They scan your code. When they scan your code, what do you think? Now they know the items. Not only do you know what I bought in Amazon, but now I know what you bought, when you bought it, how many items you bought, what line you probably came in, who you probably were texting at the same time, right? Right? And then if I have cameras, right, who are you sitting there, or whatever it is. So I'm just saying, you see how it multiplies there. So there's a reason why they want that bricks and mortar part. So what's the addition to that in healthcare? What's the comparison here? As we always had HIPAA, right? That HIPAA regulation, what does HIPAA stand for? Look it up, right? Because who needs to memorize that stuff, right? We got enough junk and stuff, you know what I mean? I saw, I have so much junk in my head that I remember. I wonder why I remember that? Why do I need to know that? Okay? So what are we doing here? So I have then is what? HIPAA stands for what? No, you guys can do it. What do you think? You're just going to sit here? You got it work. Yes. What does HIPAA stand for? What is your name?
RIA,
Ria.
Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act.
Okay. So the H stands for what?
Health,
Health. The I stands for what?
insurance,
Insurance. The first P starts for what?
portability,
Portability. So health we got. Insurance, we all know that in the United States you don't get insurance, you're in bad shape, right? We know that. And the P is portability. What's portability then referring to? Ria.
transferring of information.
Transferring that whole thing, it should be portable, that I shouldn't be able just to hook to one system. I should be able to port this. When did this occur? This occurred a long time ago. Who was basically the founder of this? Is one of our past presidents at the University of Miami was significant there. What's the A for? The first A, Ria.
Accountability,
Huh?
accountability,
Accountability, that I should be accountable for it. And what's the other A?
act,
So basically, it's thinking, people are thinking about it, is that it deals with portability, but people think about it in terms of privacy. Why? Because I need to keep my data, my patient data private. South Florida, you'll see, is not the capital of a high-tech companies. You think about it like Silicon Valley, maybe even think in terms of biotech, maybe Boston. But what in healthcare, what are we number one in? Hmm? What?
Fraud.
Fraud, healthcare fraud. We're number one there. I've had the
Not
FB.
only healthcare, also
What?
food stamps.
Hmm?
Not only healthcare, but as well like food stamps.
But we can make more money in healthcare. We can make more money in healthcare. Healthcare, we are number one, and healthcare fraud, we are number one. And it being such a community that it's easy to come in and out, even when the ways in which people get caught, sometimes, for millions of dollars, they say, cost benefit, a couple of years in jail may be worth it. Or what's easier is I take a boat or I take a plane and get out of here and then come back in a couple of years. That's what it is. I've had in the past the FBI directors come, and we've looked at I've had the FBI then, those that are doing computer forensics come in, and we were looking at some of the healthcare frauds that are there. Decision support systems, evidence-based medicine, that's really been big here. What's evidence-based medicine? Any ideas? Evidence-based medicine. I know what medicine is, right? So what's evidence-based? Yes.
Based on experiments in the scientific method.
Right, based on scientific method, based on what is research, rather than we're just used to giving these tests. I'm so used to basically taking this cholesterol test, and is it going to make me, and if it's high, what's that going to do? Am I going to live any longer? Am I going to have a better quality of life? We're just so used to it. It's almost like the myths that we use that all of a sudden we're saying, maybe we should do in terms of cost. We'll have some guest speakers that are also involved in reducing the cost and showing that how much we spend on healthcare. We're the ones that spend the highest amount in healthcare in the United States, and we don't get the best results. Evaluation of healthcare information systems, human reactions, multimedia. We'll be looking at EHRs, electronic health records, natural languages. CPOE is computerized physician orders. This will be a big, even though this says 12 and 13, we'll be looking at this new opportunities and emerging trends throughout the semester. Because this is really where I think you guys can prosper. Because there's really a lack of talent. I don't care what area you go into, but if you can get onto this area, there's burgeoning opportunities. And so much of this area, it's so important, and there's now so many of our mobile devices, right, our phones, our watches, our wearables. Think about that, and all the wearables, what are they able so easily to do is to monitor, and basically what the areas is, once I have all this data, what am I gonna do with it? How am I gonna make any sense, and how am I gonna make better decisions? And what I always think about in healthcare, am I basically getting any better with all this? A lot of hype around it, just like anything else, and there's a lot to do. So, you can see how it is. We'll have 2 exams. One exam will be approximately, in week 7. The week before we'll review. There'll be 2 parts to the exam. One part will be from the book, and the second part will be, and it'll be more open, multiple choice kind of questions. And the second part of the exam will be open-ended questions and more about topics that we cover in the class. I'll review what types of questions I'll ask you, which topics. There won't be surprises. Okay, what else? I think we went through that. And then we'll be doing, throughout the semester, we'll be doing group projects. And the last week of class, we'll be doing the presentations, and we'll be doing a review, and the second exam will be in the finals week. So check with the schedule. It changes each time. You know better than I do, but you have to tell me because I have to know to come to class, right, to give you the exam. The exam will be in here. The advantage we'll have for the exam is you'll have plenty of time to do the exam. There's no classes after this, I don't think, So we will be able to do that. And that's it on this part. What else do I want to see here?
Will the final be cumulative?
We'll see. Usually, it'll be it won't be cumulative, but one depends on the other. You know what I mean? Once we start doing it, it depends on it. But there's so many. You'll see. Basically, in the beginning, I'll try to do it that we get all the acronyms, we get all the ideas together. But in technology, for instance, we'll cover databases, and then we'll go into artificial intelligence and some deep learning. So you need to know the databases before you understand the artificial intelligence. But we have so much to consume that I think it's enough to have it as 2 separate ones, covering it. Sometimes I'll cover maybe things, sometimes like security, I think areas that are important, I may cover it twice, because I think that's going to be a big area in healthcare. One of the things here, you can think about hacking, you can think about how many people, how many companies are invaded, how many people get viruses and so forth. And one of the things that you'll see is healthcare is also one of the most susceptible. And I think one of the reasons, it's 2 parts. One, they're the least sophisticated healthcare organizations compared to places like banks. 2, that healthcare information is vital. You know how you think about some things, it's not life and death? So it'll take you a little longer to order that book in Amazon. It's not life and death. But if I have a patient, right, on the operating table, it is life and death, so I can't afford it. So you'll see, I mentioned to John before, there's something called ransomware. Type in your ransomware. Type in Google ransomware hospitals. While you're doing that, see what you get. You know, ransomware hospitals. Or hospitals. Phishing simulation training, how ransomware affects hospital data security, cyber criminals target hospitals with Samsung ransomware attacks, cyber criminals increased their attacks against healthcare sector in the first quarter of 2018. Indiana hospital shuts down systems after ransomware attacks. And here another one, the hospital based in Greenville, right? Don't you love it? So everybody knows what ransom is, right? They kidnap, God forbid, you know, you go out here, they kidnap you right in the street, and then they contact, they say, what's your, you know, parents' phone number? They call them and say, you know, I have this lovely young woman, you want your daughter back, right? Give us, you know, $1 million, put the dollar bills underneath the tree and we'll pick you up, right? But in this case, these ransomware, they don't have to pick anybody up physically. What can they do? They can attack from anywhere in the world. Attack a hospital information systems, right? And they demand money. And where are they demanding it in? They say, don't take from your just transfer to my bank account $1 million. That can be traced easily. So what do they ask for? What kind of currency?
Sometimes they ask for like gift cards and different things.
Yeah,
like that.
but for hospitals, what do? What's the common one?
Cryptocurrency?
Yeah, Bitcoin, right? Because you can't, it's harder to track. So in this one, you can see here how the hospital, look at this, hospital based in Greenville, Indiana, revealed that a successful ransomware attack on Thursday held the hospital's IT system hostage, demanding a ransom payment in Bitcoin, BTC, in return for a decryption key. What's a decryption key? They basically encrypted the data so I as the hospital cannot read it. I want to see, is your mother, right, listed for surgery? I can't even read it. Who's listed for surgery? I can't even see their records. I don't know what they're allergic to because I can't get to their records. And what do I do here is now I'll give you a key, a software key, that you can that basically now you can read the data. And look what, requested payment of 4 Bitcoins worth 55,000. For a hospital, 55,000 is nothing. And guess what? Most of the time they pay it. Even though you know how the FBI, I've seen those movies, never pay them, right? We'll come to your living room and we'll do a stakeout and we'll, you know, we'll put those wires on the phone and we'll catch those guys, those crooks. In this case, I'm a hospital. I'm starting surgery this morning and I can't get into my system. How much you want? A lot of times 20,000, 50,000. Jesus, pay it. Let's move on. So that's why they continue doing it. And look at these hospitals they get. So look at this. One hospital learned from an ransomware. A vendor portal left in Indiana vulnerable to cyber attack, decided to pay. Here's why. Another, you know, unbelievable that you think about it, right? How many times you're going to do it. So don't even think about it. They cut it down. Let alone, let me put this up here. IoT. What's IoT? Internet of Things. Are they now in the healthcare industry?
Yes.
Where?
Well, I know it's like personally, like you can track all of your health, like when you sleep and stuff.
Everything basically is. But basically, what is IoT? It's a device that's connected to the internet, just like your laptop is connected to the internet, so somebody can gain access to it. Think about all those devices in the hospital. What does it mean that's connected to the internet? It has what we call an IP address. What's an IP? And when you look at me and you don't know, what do you do? Yeah, look it up, right? You can do it. So let's go. No? Everybody's saying kind of, yes.
Internet protocol?
Internet protocol, what does that mean? A protocol is a set of rules, and basically there's a set of rules to travel onto the website, to travel onto the internet, right? So how do I get onto the internet? I don't jump onto a plane or onto my scooter to get onto the internet. How do I get onto the internet? Through a browser, right? You all know a browser, right? Through a browser, I get onto the internet. So every device in a hospital, right, that's an IoT, has its own address to it. It has what we call a MAC address. Anybody hear about a MAC address? A machine accessible code here that I can gain access to. If I know that code, right, I can go in there and what? Shut it down. I can raise it up. Remotely, an internet device is nice that I can then make adjustments, but some hacker can also do adjustments. I can even do it with one of the things, anybody remember Cheney? Vice President Cheney, he had some internet device. One of the things is he decided, you know, he was so hated because people thought he got us into the Iraq war, that there was a device that he could do, like an internet device in him, and he decided not to do it because he thought somebody would want to kill him, you know, by hacking into his, you know, heart device or something. You know, but you can think about it as from that sense to bringing down a whole hospital, let alone, you know, with terrorism now we can bring down a whole grid. Now everybody's worried about hacking into my electrical process. I've always been worried, you know, I don't sleep much. I'm always worried about when you hear those security, you want to be underneath the mattress the whole time, unconnected, and don't do anything. But I'm always worried about just the grid, you know, I mean, our electrical grid, just shut that down for it. That's, you know, they tried a number of times, you know, that's what even the Russians did that in Ukraine and so forth. It's just that they don't want to maybe do it because they have a lot of money here, you know, a number of hackers. But this is also simple. You know, autonomous cars. Everybody heard about that? I know some people designing autonomous cars. They were telling me, this was offline, that it's easy then to take an autonomous car. You're in an autonomous car, let's just take over that autonomous car, put you over the cliff. You know, I mean, everything is just we're all so interconnected that if we think about it, we get too scared. But these are opportunities, but you can think about it, just the attacks in 2018. But they're vulnerable for it. They don't have the proper security. Everybody's going into everybody's worried about the healthcare, so this is kind of like a big booming business, but also how do you differentiate yourself? Okay? Questions? So that's what how the course is. Be a lot of interaction. We'll have guest speakers, and we'll try basically to do projects that deal with some type. We won't start right away, but some type of healthcare disruptions and ways. We'll evaluate some mobile app development. How many programmers in here? One? You're a programmer?
I'm BT. I'm
What?
a BT.
BTA and you?
BT major.
BT, okay. And how many others? That's it? Sort of, what does that
I'm a
mean?
BTA major too.
Okay, but it's not a program. Okay, so, we'll go through this on the BT. But one of the things you'll see here is there's a new philosophy here. Anybody hear about modernizing medicine? Let's Google it, right? It's called Modernizing Medicine. Modernizing medicine. Everybody's heard of Blackboard before, right? We use it all the time. So if I do modernizing medicine, and I'll tell you why I came up with this. You see here in the map, they have it right there in Boca Del Rio. Anybody been there? Not that far. They turned out to be their specialty EHR. What's EHR? Electronic health records, right? practice management analytics. Choose the specialty to learn about more. Everybody see that? This is a company that is relatively new and it's been quite successful, and they have raised millions and millions of dollars. They're based in the Boca area, and the founder, one of the founders of Modernizing Medicine, is not a physician and is not a healthcare provider, but was the founder of Blackboard. He sold Blackboard at he was a young guy, sold Blackboard at an early age, sold it for millions, and then he says, I'm going to South Florida. Comes to South Florida, and you know South Florida, you got a lot of sun, goes to the dermatologist and sees how antiquated the dermatologist works. And he says, hey, I got some ideas here, let's do something. So they were the first ones that start with dermatology and say, let's start with even an iPad. And when I'm talking, have you ever been to a physician? Now even they have the electronic records, and then if, what is your name? Sean? And who else is Sean here? Okay, Sean in a row. Okay, so my first Sean here, if I'm going to be looking at you, what you'll see a lot of times the physician or physician's assistant doing is typing on the computer, and then you're there, right? Or they're looking down. So they first said, hey, especially dermatology, I have to look at you, right? And then if I have a mole or something, right, I come back at 6 weeks. You can see I'm light completed. I go to our the head of dermatology here at University of Miami, and I always have my appointment, the last one, because he always wants to talk about technology with me. So we know we spend an hour talking about technology, and then he'll say, hey, and I show him I got this mole here, what does it look like? And he said, and then he takes his eye, and then he says, oh, it doesn't look too bad, right? And I couldn't believe it. Well, do you know how it looked before? Maybe I remember. He sees thousands, right? So why can't you use all that technology? So this company developed an EHR. And why I'm telling my BTE majors is what they've done is reverse. So who designs these systems? And what they decided, instead of doing an entire EHR system, look how they brought it, dermatology, gastroenterology, ophthalmology, orthopedics, right, pain management, and so forth, urology. So who designs these systems? My BTE majors?
No.
Do they know anything about dermatology? Or they maybe been to a dermatologist? You know how they're going to work? No clue, right? I need them, right? Or I need my computer science to do the programming, but who knows how the workflow and how best to run that I want for my practice. Those people. So what they did, which was very unique, I thought was clever, is they said, what am I going to do now? Am I going to, what is your name?
Isabella.
Isabella. Okay, Isabella. Am I going to teach her medicine? So how many years of medicine do I have to do? 4, right? And then I need my dermatology, right? Am I going to teach her 8-10 years of medicine to do a better job? And then I also she has to also train, because not even knowing dermatology, you have to know how the office works, right? Or, what is your major?
Health sector management.
Health sector manager. Who's my pre-med? Sean, what do you want to specialize in?
Maybe oncology.
Oncology. Okay, so let's say he's the oncology. So what am I going to do if I'm going to take then Sean, the oncologist, right? And then in this case, I'll take the oncologist and what they're saying and teach him some coding. Usually we think maybe my healthcare people are not that stupid, right? There may be a higher intelligence there. So what they ended up doing, it was interesting, is they taught their physicians and their specialties coding, and they do the front end of their coding, and then they work in conjunction with their computer people. The computer people do the back end, do the more complicated, and they work together as a team. I thought that was so clever. And it's so, doesn't it sound, make sense, right? And then they go through, the physicians go through like a 10-week course in JavaScript and some other programming, and then they basically do this. Yes?
But what do they do? Is it like just to input
What do you
the
mean? What do
chart?
they
Is it just like charts that?
Well, we'll show you. I'll show you. It's part of it's a system basically where it's interviewing, so I'll show it to you, and then we'll invite them to come in. One of the physicians is from rheumatology, and she works at UM 1 day a week, and also she was a Harvard grad, and then she went to the University of Miami and developed here. And what she does, basically what it is, it's a way in which to do patient visits, you know, but then it does more, because this is where the key is. Remember how I said data was so important? Data, data, data. You see how they're getting into analytics? Because that's where I can start with like the Watsons and so forth and say, they get maybe 60 or 70% of all dermatologists use their system. So if I know how 70% dermatologists, I can get like best practices, what really works, right? And then I say, if I give this medicine, this really works for this type of rash or this type of way, I don't get those effects, and I can start doing, or give me all those, right, those Hispanics that have these types of characteristics, and what are the best ways to do it. Or if I have diabetes or any of those types of things, and then we can start doing evidence-based medicine, best practices. So that's really where the key is. But then if they're doing more and more on the phone, they started with iPads, and basically I can then record it, I can then take pictures, put those in immediately into it sounds like it's a no-brainer, but this is new for them, is to have all my charts then and all my pictures of all my moles onto my record, right, that I can do it, and then I can see on the time, and then I can do some software and basically even use some of those softwares for detection of cancers now that they have for dermatology, right, and be able to say, hey, this one, even though it's suspicious in your eyes, this one picked it up. You know, so this is the area. But I'm just kind of showing you that way when we're talking about programming, that it's blending in. The programmers are not just by themselves programming, but you have to look with industry-specific people that know about the industry well. So it has to work together, you know. Yes?
I'm kind of confused when we say that they're teaching them coding. Are they teaching them about ICD codes and CPT codes?
No, programming.
Programming.
JavaScript.
Okay, that's what
Yeah, so they're not teaching them computer programming, and they're designing then the workflow of their systems, like the UI, the front end of the systems. Not just and they've been very successful, and a lot of them. But they want them. It's interesting. This woman you'll meet, hopefully you'll meet her this semester. She now drove her practice down to 1 day a week, so she could work the four other days in the being one of the early, you know, employees there. And now they've grown leaps and bounds, you know, and they're looking for employees all the time. And you think about it, it's a simple idea, but the traditional way of what they were using in electronic healthcare was so antiquated and didn't move with the time. Okay? Any other comments, questions? Yes.
So the role of the doctor looking 20 years from now,
It's going to be different.
you think so pretty much primary care will be non-existent for?
No, but I think you'll be doing different types of work. You know, healthcare will be changed. You know, I
Just
think
like procedures?
it depends. You know, I think there'll be a lot of more, I think there's going to be a lot more home-based monitoring. There'll be a lot of precautionary types of things, and we'll use humans for, you know, different things. I think things that the computer can do well, there'll be different ways. Radiology will be changed completely. Dermatology, things that I can see patterns of. You know, think about it in ways in which I can do. Really, what I see, it's almost like anything in the world in robotics. You know, when you think about robotics, you know, truck drivers. Will I need a truck driver anymore if I have autonomous trucks? But what will I need is people to write the rules. So if you're, for instance, if that Sean is an oncologist, somebody has to feed those rules to the oncology programs. I'll still need those humans together, right? It's not going to completely eliminate humans, you know what I mean? But we're going to be working differently. You know, it's going to be transforming, you know, and some things will go by the wayside. Think about taxi drivers, right? Maybe the taxi drivers have to change in some ways, you know, and maybe a lot of that, you know, like all those Ubers, why did they go into autonomous vehicles? Because they think maybe I don't need those, even though those Uber drivers think that they're so cool, but maybe I won't need those Uber drivers anymore. So anything that you think about, so you need to think about when you're going to, that's why technology, no matter what you're going to do, it's either any finance majors or something, think about the way that we're doing wealth management. Robo-advisors, right? That idea, but I want a person still to guide me maybe. You think about all these areas, you know, it used to be banking, there used to be all these bank tellers, right? All these banks, what are they doing? They're shutting down those physical, but it's changing, you know what I mean? But it's still nice, that community, that physical community. Anybody been to Books and Books ever? Right? I was sure, you know, when the Amazon came, that place would be under, right? But it has a sense, but he is smart, Mitchell Kaplan, who owns it, was smart enough to say, I'll make a community here. You know, I'll bring speakers and I'll make a cafe. You know, there's still something nice about going out and communicating. You ever use a phone before? Right? Do you ever use your phone when you're with your friends? You're all basically on a phone, but you're still with your friends physically. So there is still something there, you know. There's Tinder and the other things, but there's still some hookup, you know. People are still having sex. You know, there's porn, right? But there are still people, you know, doing, so they're going to be changing. You know, I think that whole medical area will be changing. I won't need, you know, somebody was calling about, Dev before was talking about coding, the codes. There used to be a position that was a coder, you know, sat there and code. What do I need a person anymore to sit there and put in codes? I can get the computer to do that. And what I can do is maybe start relating to people. You know, maybe in oncology now maybe I have to do that, but maybe I need to teach now my physicians more ways to relate to the human condition. Emotionally, I'm going through this, so what am I going to do? And then to start doing the back end, what I say is the rules, and trying to improve the system. Because guess what? What can the computer do? The computer can really do it quickly, but it doesn't mean that it's right. It can produce those wrong diagnoses even faster. You know, so it's exciting, you know what I mean? If you're in it, and some of it is too much. You know, it's that evidence-based. If they have all that, you know, now they have the things like 23andMe, I can get all my DNA type of stuff, and the question is that evidence-based. Now, if I know all this, am I going to have a better quality of life knowing this? Or for myself, I'm going to be worried all night, not only for they're going to get ransomware and they're going to get into my computer, but I got all these possibilities of diseases, you know, but I may not have it, so it's different. But then you think something like that CRISPR, right? You know what that is in terms of being able to edit those genes? It's just incredible, right? That you can do. So it's the best. But then you'll see all these backlinks that we have to come through. It's just like these things that, you know, are we using technology too much and we're not even enjoying ourselves, you know? It's like I'm missing out, you know? So is it like too much? You know, you grew up all the time with it, but are you you know, are people happier? You know, you see all this thing with Facebook, everybody's just so happy and everybody's doing these things, and then you have to have these other people, why I'm not happy? And that's what I think is another area that you may want to look at is mental health. You've seen how many in these really good competitive schools, what is arising? Suicide. You know, you say, hey, these kids are the smartest kids, are doing the best, right? But why are they committing suicide? You know, why they, or we don't know enough in those areas, you know? Opioid addictions, you know, all these addictions and so forth. Okay. I answered more than you, but it's changing, you know, but you have to look at it. And one of these things, you know, they're changing that's why I think it's kind of like merging together. You're still going to have people, but some things I want to be able to do. How many people have ever had a problem, looked it up on Google? Maybe I have some kind of, right, you're looking for your symptoms, right, figuring out what do I have? We do it more and more, right? And then once they get better and better, some of those things I won't have to go for physicians. The idea of telehealth, right? Why do I have to wait in line or sit in a waiting room for 4 hours, right? Wouldn't it be better to have and get the best physician, right? Or get consultations from around the world. I'm in the Caribbean. I don't know how many. I've done 2 surgeries, something, and I have somebody that's done 1,000 surgeries. Why not bring them together? You know, there's a center called the Mark Center, M-A-R-C. You can see it's in Doral. M-A-R-C, Doral. Let's see. Mark Institute. I've worked with these folks trying to help them out. They're in Doral. Anybody been to Doral? A lot of warehouses and so forth. Basically, patient development. I've been there. You see this? They're watching another physician. You see all these tools? They're watching another physician somewhere else do the surgery. They're physically there. I work with a physician. His name is Dr. Badia. He's a famous hand surgeon. So what they have in this warehouse that I help them with, got steel tables everywhere. It's like a warehouse, right? And when you walk in, you know, you wear the whole operation garb. And then I see hands, cadavers, 4 of them on a table. And basically what he has there is he's a physician doing actual surgery, and they're practicing in real time on the cadavers. And then other people around the world are having those cadavers too and getting instruction. You can see all those. Okay, so let's do this. You heard about me. Let's do this and see who we got in the class. So what I want you to do is give me your name, your where you're from, also what is your major and what kind of work experience you have, and also what technology experience you have. So we'll start here with Sean, okay?
Sean O'Neill from Rochester, New York.
Uh-huh. You want to speak up a little bit so we can hear you, Sean?
I'm a biology and health science major.
Uh-huh. Biology and health science, yes. Okay.
Don't have too much.
Okay, and what do you want to do? What year are you?
Senior.
Senior, and what do you want to do after this? You have any clue?
I'm undecided right now.
Undecided, okay, maybe this will help you decide. Okay, next.
Hi, I'm Faith. I'm a health management and policy major. This summer I did a healthcare consulting internship, primarily with healthcare data analytics.
Okay, and where'd you do that, Faith?
With FTI Consulting in DC.
Okay, and did you learn anything?
Yeah.
What was the biggest takeaway?
That healthcare companies have a lot of data that they really don't know how to manage, and the government is even worse at managing that data too.
Okay, all right, so maybe we can see some opportunities there. Okay, and Faith was with me last semester, right, Faith?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to continue. So Faith started doing some blockchain. You want to tell them what you did last semester?
Yeah, for our group's project for business technology, we used
Okay, so she was doing that, so when she did that in my other class, she said, hey, I'll continue with healthcare, so I said she can continue maybe doing this one or other projects. Welcome, yes.
Hi, I'm Lorna. I'm a double major in finance and health safety management. I'm a senior, and this summer I interned at a med device.
At a what, med device? And what was the device?
They make lots of devices.
Okay, and where was it?
It was in Minneapolis.
Okay, great, yes, sir.
I'm Nico, I'm a senior, I'm from New Jersey. I'm a marketing and health management and policy double major. And this summer I was a marketing intern for a medical device company as well that was focused on like wound back stuff like that.
Okay,
My name is Ty Archer, I'm from Panama City Beach, Florida. I'm a health management and policy major. I don't really have too much experience. I didn't get like an internship or anything like that. I just worked with.
okay, yes.
I'm Corey, I'm a senior health management and policy major, from New Jersey, and I don't really have any experience.
Okay,
I'm Rhea, I'm a senior, I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. I am microbiome and public health, and I don't really have any technology background.
and what do you want to do?
Medicine, public policy, I think.
Okay,
My name's Sean. I am a senior from Chicago, Illinois, studying biology and health management policy. I don't really have a ton of tech-related experience. I did an internship this summer at a healthcare consulting firm that focused primarily on like IT update, like and revenue cycle management.
yes,
My name's Rick Almada, I'm a freshman from literally 2 hours north of here.
near modernizing medicine or further north?
Maybe.
Yeah,
I do have a little bit of technology information. I'm certified in Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint for creator certification. And I don't have a lot of work experience with these volunteer.
okay, and your major is?
Health science program.
Okay,
I'm Dave Nye. I'm a senior. I'm from Tampa, Florida. This past summer, I worked for 2 big health provider groups, one in Orlando and one in Tampa. And I did lots of data analytics of the EMR systems and also data warehouse systems that look at patient enrollment,
so the data, huh?
gross margins. Yeah, trying to figure out why the company might be losing enrollment patients. Looking at
Yeah, they're all the time, everybody. And you know what else is amazing in healthcare is they don't know their costs.
another thing.
Hospitals do not know their costs. It's amazing.
Another thing I looked at was also like looking at coding. So physicians were like, say a patient had trouble urination, but they knew that the patient had chronic kidney disease but didn't code it. I was like auditing.
Okay, so that's why you were asking me about the coding. So it's like the wrong codes. And a lot of times, very good. Yes, next.
I'm Liz, I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee. I'm a freshman this year, and I'm studying health sciences on the pre-med track. I don't really have any experience.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Kyle Long. I'm a senior originally from Boston. I'm a finance major. And this past summer, I was interviewing at Morgan Stanley Academy.
Okay, so that'd be good. So you can work in terms of maybe in your project in like the health sector, in terms of like some of the automated systems. Great.
I'm Monica, I'm studying health sector management and marketing, and this summer I had an internship doing healthcare management.
Okay.
My name is Roy. I was born in Israel, but I lived in the U.S. most of my life, from Miami as well. I interned with Willis Towers Watson. It's one of the largest insurance brokers and risk.
And where was that?
Here in Brickell.
Uh-huh,
JP Morgan building.
uh-huh.
And I major in finance and business technology.
That's a good, there's two, like fintech, huh?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we'll do some of that. It'd be interesting. Yes.
Hi, I'm Emily, I'm from St. Louis, and I'm majoring in health science on the pre-med track, and I do not have any
Okay.
experience.
I'm Emma, I'm also from St. Louis, I'm a freshman too, and I also don't know.
Okay.
Hi, I'm
Anna Kelly. I'm from Baton Rouge, New Jersey. My major's health science on the pre-physical therapy track and psychology, and I don't have a lot of.
Okay. Well, you even think about physical therapy, the amount of, they're also behind in a lot of ways in technology that can be used. I'm even thinking about physical therapy in terms of video and broadcasting, right? And when you're taking your patients home, right, and when you're doing it right, you can basically go into their homes and follow them as well. Yes.
Hi, I'm Danielle. I'm from Houston, Texas. I'm a senior, and I'm also a health sciences on the physical therapy track. I don't have any.
Okay, great. Okay, so we got everyone here? Let's go.
Hi, my name is Daya. I'm a senior. I'm a double major in health management and policy and marketing and a minor in accounting. For the past 2 summers, I worked one summer at Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, and this past summer I worked at Novo Nordisk, which is a pharmaceutical company.
Yeah, Novo. Okay, what did you do there at Novo?
At Novo, I worked in the patient support program, so I worked in access and affordability. So I helped design a website so patients or healthcare providers can go online and check their benefit verification.
So it's basically getting closer to the customer. Yes.
I'm Isabella. I'm from Venezuela. My major is BTE, and over the past 3 summers, I've worked as a graphic designer for a paint company.
Oh, great. So we can use your skills, right? Good.
My name is John Heinrich. I'm from Hawaii. This past summer, I worked at this biotechnology company, and
Okay.
I'm a senior.
Kaylee from
So
Long
John's
Island.
taking both classes, so he'll be tired by the end of hearing me. Can you imagine? Okay.
I'm Kaylee. I'm from Long Island, New York. I'm a senior studying health science on the physician assistant track, and I don't have any technology experience.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Gabby. I'm from Melbourne, Florida. I'm a health science on the pre-med track, and then during the summers I do research at the back center, and then I work at the Health First Hospital.
Okay. The back center?
Yeah, it's a spinal surgeon. So it's 2 of them.
Okay. Where's that?
It's in Melbourne, Florida.
Okay.
My name is Chelsea. I'm a health science major, and I'm from Miami, Florida, and I don't have any technological background.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Cindy. I am a microbiology, public health, and health sector management major. Relevant experience is probably I worked with the World Bank. I was a geospatial analysis for biosecurity and bioweaponry.
Wow.
And
You can give a lecture on that to us.
Yeah. It's a very rising field,
Yeah.
and I've also worked a lot in refugee camps and setting up what you've mentioned, prosthetics for individuals who need amputations.
Great. So you can think about the whole idea, if I can get experts around the world in those refugee camps in some way,
Yes,
wouldn't that be awesome?
I'm currently working with Carlos Migoya, the CEO of Jackson Health System, so we're trying to figure out partnership to bring these into the camps that I work with in Turkey.
Yeah, no, God. Yes, valuable, and that's what I'm saying. And then when you're saying what can technology help, where you get places around the world that have so little access to health care, if you can bring that out,
Right, we definitely have room for international
you
development.
know, it's tremendous. Yes.
Hi, I'm Elvia. I'm from Cancun, Mexico. I'm a health sector management and policy major. I'm also a senior. And I have business technology background because I've worked for the school central IT and also for the School of Business IT.
Here or what?
Here.
Okay.
I also have certification in Microsoft Excel, PowerPoint, and Word. And I currently work for JP Morgan Chase.
And what do you do there?
I'm a teller.
You're what?
Bank teller.
Bank teller, those are one of the jobs that you won't have for long, but it's good you have your BT. You have your IT along with that, right?
Hi, my name is James. I come all the way from Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Okay.
Senior health sector management policy major on the pre-med track. I guess my experience with technology is that I produce videos. I work a lot with Final Cut Pro. I've done documentaries on cardiology in Brazil.
Oh, great.
This summer I went to Israel and I've done videos there as well.
Great.
At Tel Aviv.
Okay, great.
And yeah.
So maybe we can talk afterwards. You can help us do this, right? You can make this we can make a documentary of this class. Yeah.
My name is
Alicia Milea. I'm from Miami. My major is health management. I currently work in healthcare, UM. And my technology.
So what do you do for UM?
So currently I work for the business office, but prior to that, I was with the clinical systems department and was part of the EHR implementation for UM.
Good luck on that one, huh?
Yeah, it was rough.
And with Epic, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we had some of those Epic guys here, and it was interesting that they need to move along, and how much money we're spending on that, huh? Wow.
A lot.
A lot. And now, what are we getting? Okay.
Hi guys, William. My major is finance, sophomore, and my experience is with automated trading systems. Took a class last semester. I worked on that.
Okay, so William is also a repeat customer, as we say. So he basically worked on, he's finance, so he basically did a lot of the automated trading systems and the algorithms. So you think about the idea of trading securities, trading stocks, was usually a manual affair where you had people, right, trading the stocks. I'll buy, IBM at 100 and I'll sell it at 110. And what percentage today is done by basically computer programs, you think? What percentage? Any idea? Today. What percent of all the stocks being sold, bought and sold, currencies and so forth, what percentage done by computers? Close to 80, 85, 90% done by machines. But who writes those algorithms to those machines are humans, right? And then what we call artificial intelligence, deep learning, we want them to improve. What is artificial intelligence? We hear about all the time, and I could use any more intelligence. I'm always yearning for more intelligence. I'm not that intelligent, but the idea of artificial is that what makes it artificial intelligence is a regular computer program does the same thing over and over again. What you want from artificial intelligence is when it makes a mistake, what does your mother always say is learn from that mistake, don't make it again, twice. And a traditional program will do that same mistake again. So what you want from them is to learn more and more with it. Okay, so you can see here in these automated trading systems that you need people along with the computer and the programmers, and you also need to know those people that know the sector well. So if I'm in the health sector, who do they have in the group are people that know about that technology. I'm not talking about just insider trading, but I know that technology to be able to evaluate even what are these programs. So that's how it's going to be changing. Yes.
Hi, I'm Danielle from Jersey. I'm a senior and my major is health management and policy. And my experience is with patient health records. This summer I worked at a hospital and I worked at their basically. And I helped implement their own online portal to connect patients with their online.
So everything is online, right? Getting closer again to the portal. And you think about less of that time just waiting. Yes.
I'm Danny. I'm a senior from New Jersey. I'm a double major in analytics and technology. 2 summers ago, I worked at ADP for risk analysis, and past summer, I worked as an insights specialist for a marketing company.
Okay. And you want to tell everybody what's an insights specialist?
Insights is basically taking data and turning it into stories for sales pitches. So I worked with a lot of salespeople. I was kind of the data guy on the team.
So you can see marketing now is completely changing. Even those of you with see healthcare and marketing together, but marketing is completely changing in a digital transformation. And basically the idea of computer experience, right? And basically way to get to the customer experience. Yes.
I'm Fiona. I'm a senior. I'm a health management major, pre-med minor. Most of my experience is at nonprofits, mostly marketing and PR. I don't have a ton of technology experience.
Okay.
I'm Lauren. I'm a senior from New Jersey. I'm majoring in health.
A lot of seniors from New Jersey. Have you noticed? It's kind of like I'm going to do the insights. I see a trend. Seniors from Jersey. That can be a good documentary. Seniors from Jersey at UM. I got it right now.
I'm a health.
management and policy major, and I interned with Aetna this summer. I was in sales, but I did do some work with blockchain and Power BI, so like just to represent the sales.
So who did you work with?
Aetna?
Aetna.
Yeah, in Philly.
Okay, and they wanted to do blockchain? Aetna?
Yeah, it was one of the capstone projects, so it wasn't mine, but I was able to learn.
Oh, good. So you can be one of our group leaders, great. Okay, so we got a motley crew here, right? But it sounds good, doesn't it? Okay, so let me close this, and then let's talk about what's the next step. So you got your blackboard? Everybody got their blackboard? So let's do some assignments, and because I'm not going to see you for a week. Let's see what we want to. So let's do this. I'm gonna go to courses. Right, and I'm in courses, and I'm gonna go to your fall. Everybody see the fall semester, and tell me what you find. First of all, I got the BTE 450, right? So I'm going to go to BTE 450 KY, enter that. We did the syllabus already. And let me just talk a little bit more about what we have here. I have course documents. You see in the course documents, you have PowerPoints there in the 4th edition, and you can download that on your own, okay? I'm going to go over next week, I'm going to go over chapter 1 with you. And then if you look at assignments, go to your assignments, right? If you go to your assignments under quizzes, there's nothing in there. It's empty. Isn't that great? Well, now it's going to be somewhat full. So I'm going to go to Edit Test Options. And I have here, you can see the back end, right, where you see Wager Chapter 1 quiz. I'll say open the test in a new window. I'll say yes. And under Make Available to Students, it's no now. What should I do? Make it yes. And for the first quiz, I'll give you 2 attempts. Okay? And I'm not going to put a due date on it now, though it's due before we meet next time, just because there'll be adds and drops here. You know, some of you, I won't be insulted. You can say, hey, this is not the class for me. You can move on and do other things. And now I'm going to submit. So what's your role? To do is to check what? Do you see it on your end?
I see it.
Yeah. I see it. So please, 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 it's a song, but please, 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 when I'm doing any corrections or anything on the computer, you have to check if it's working on your end. Otherwise, if I think I pressed the key and I didn't, you go home, we all go home, and we don't see each other for a week. So you need to check, and we need to check each other, and you'll see that with technology, we need to build in some ways. So you can take that chapter well and do that. The next part, so I want you to read chapter 1. What I'd like you to do with any of the acronyms is you can like jot them down like that you want, and then emphasize what you don't understand or what you want more clarification about. As I imagine with this class is that we're all mature enough and smart enough, we all know how to read. I don't need to read back the textbook to you. Our time is valuable, all of our time, and what I want to do is have you learn new skills and understand health information systems. not go over a lot with the textbook, but I'll emphasize things that I think are important with you. Everybody clear with that? So I want it to be valuable, yes.
Are the quizzes timed?
No, they're not timed, they're open book, you can check on the internet. I'm using this is that you can, and the quizzes are quite easy, you know. Some of the questions are even a little stupid, you know, like what year and so forth. But it's the idea that it can say, hey, let me even look at some of those terms that you can do. And it's more for you, not for me. You know, it really doesn't really count. You need to do the quizzes, but they don't count in terms of towards your grade. Minimal at the most. You understand? It's more for you to say, hey, do I understand these terms and do we have this term? And that everybody's in the same, knows the same terminology. Because I'm going to have, what I think is really interesting is to have some of these people that are doing innovative ways with technology to come into the class. And I want us to be able to understand and ask insightful questions. Okay, that's number one. Okay, so everybody clear what part of the assignment to do is for next week. The next thing I want you to be able to do is what I call screencasting. What does that mean? To be able to record the screen of what you're doing and then to be able, for instance, if you're learning some new software, to train somebody else on that software. When I get stuck on some software and I don't know exactly what to do, to be able to document it and give it to someone else and say, hey, this is where I'm having the problem, or to be able to collaborate and share. I'm using two softwares here. I'm using MSN Recorder that I said, and then I'm also broadcasting via YouTube using Google Hangouts on Air or YouTube Live. But there are other software to do. So for the next assignment, what I want you to do is I want everyone to find a screencasting program. Screencasting software program. And I want you to evaluate that software program via that screencasting program that you find. And do like a 1 to 2 minute clip on the pros and cons of that software. And what I'd like it to be in the beginning is try to find something that is free. Later on, there's software, some even you can try out maybe for 30 days or some with advertising and so forth that you can use it. Now, how I want you to do it, what also is important that you'll see in technology and in other areas is nobody works alone. So when I have Isabella here and she's going to be working on a project in healthcare, she needs to work with maybe another physician or physical therapist. So we need to learn how to work in groups. So we're going to look at collaborative tools too, in which we can record and share screens of each other. So for instance, Sean, I want to see his screen. He wants to see my screen. These are issues that we have. We want to discuss things. We can do that. So if you go back to Blackboard, the very beginning of Blackboard, everybody's being Blackboard, do you have another BTE course other than BTE 450KY? What do you have? It says audit, and what role does it say you are? Instructor. You didn't know you were so smart, right? A lot of people tell me they don't know anything about technology. So expect your check in the mail soon. Maybe we can do blockchain, right? Education, where if you contribute, you'll get a token and you'll get money for helping other students, right? Basically, we need to disrupt this education. That's my philosophy here.
Are we all supposed to have that?
Yeah, to help other people find you. You should have it that it says instructor and it should say the role that you're BTE. So go into that now. BTE audit 450. So you're gonna who is in auditing, you should be able to go into that.
All of us are supposed to have this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have
Okay. So see if your neighbor has it.
Yeah.
Okay, look with your neighbor and then we'll work it out. So sit with somebody that's the beauty. You don't have it now, you'll have it later.
It's like all the way on the top.
Okay. So bring your computer
Yeah,
with
just
you.
like-
Okay? All right. So it's good to be with somebody. Don't be shy. All right. So what do you have under course documents? What do you have? There isn't. So don't do this, but just watch me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to, you see up here, I'm going to go to build content, and that's why I could even do a screencast, right? So if I could do even a screencast, let me close this, right? I'm going to stop this, and I'm going to screencast this. I'm going to say I'm going to do full screen. I'm going to record. So I'm using my screencasting program, and now I want to show you how to use Blackboard as instructors, or basically you have full rights. Just like in healthcare, you're going to give different people different rights. You don't want to have everybody changing their record, right? It says that I weigh a certain amount. I would love to weigh 10 pounds less, right? I'm just going to go into my health record and make that change, right? And then I'll feel better about myself. Okay, so I have here build content.